What is Thomas Aquinas' argument from efficient causality? So, in our previous videos, we've talked first about cosmological arguments in general, and Aquinas' first three ways or three arguments for the existence of God are all examples of cosmological arguments. We've then discussed Aquinas' first way, so the argument from motion, and in this video, we're going to discuss his second way, which is the argument from efficient causality. So, to briefly recap on what a cosmological argument is, cosmological arguments for the existence of God begin with the things that we can observe in the world around us. So things that we can see and touch and experience. Now, our observations of those things start us on a chain of reasoning that leads us to the ultimate conclusion that there must be some reality upon which everything that we can observe ultimately depends. And this reality must not itself rely on anything else for its existence. So, in the second way, Aquinas calls this reality a first efficient cause. So, where does Aquinas' argument begin? Because remember, we're beginning with observations about the world. Well, the second way begins with a very simple observation about cause and effect. Aquinas observes that in the world, things don't simply exist by themselves. Instead, they are brought into being, and they are caused and altered by other things. So a tree grows from a seed. A house is built by a builder. A painting is painted by a painter. So everywhere we look, we find what we can call an order of efficient causes. Now, we've used that term efficient causes a few times already. So what does it actually mean? What is an efficient cause? Well, an efficient cause is simply something that brings another thing into being or alters something that already exists. So, for example, if I paint a painting, then I am the efficient cause of that painting. Or if a flower drops a seed and then another flower grows, that first flower is the efficient cause of the second. Now, Aquinas points out something really interesting about efficient causes, which is that nothing is the efficient cause of itself. So, this is how he puts it. He says, "There is no case known, neither is it indeed possible, in which a thing is found to be the efficient cause of itself, for so it would be prior to itself, which is impossible." So what's he saying there? Well, he's saying that if something caused itself, it would have to exist before it existed in order to bring itself into existence, which is obviously impossible. Instead, every effect depends on some other cause outside itself. Now, as we saw in the first way, when Aquinas talks about cause and effect here, he isn't talking about a chain of cause and effect that kind of stretches back into the distant past. Instead, he's talking about what we call simultaneous cause and effect. He's talking about a hierarchy of causes that exist here and now. So these causes and effects that we observe all derive their causal power from other causes. So we can think of the example that we used in the previous episode of a kettle. When I turn on a kettle, the water starts heating because the kettle is heating it, and the kettle is heating it because electricity is flowing through it, and the electricity reaches the kettle because it's supplied through the electrical grid. So every kind of member of the chain is acting because something else is enabling it to act. And this chain of cause and effect is all occurring simultaneously. Now, Aquinas argues that a hierarchical series like this cannot regress infinitely. If every cause only had the power to produce an effect because it received that power from another cause, then there would never be any causal power to pass along in the first place. So Peter Kraft gives a really useful example that helps to illustrate this idea. He writes the following. He says, quote, "Suppose I tell you there is a book that explains everything you want explained. You want that book very much. You ask me whether I have it. I say, no, I have to get it from my wife. Does she have it? No, she has to get it from her neighbor. Does he have it? No, he has to get it from his teacher, who has to get it, etc., ad infinitum. No one actually has the book. In that case, you will never get it, however long or short that chain of book borrowers. You will only get the book if someone actually has it and does not have to borrow it. Well, existence is like that book. Existence is handed down the chain of causes from cause to effect. If there is no first cause, no being who is eternal and self-sufficient, no being who has existence by his own nature and does not have to borrow it from someone else, then the gift of existence can never be passed down the chain to others, and no one will ever get it. But we did get it. We exist. Therefore, there must be a first cause of existence, a God. Oh, Peter Kraft. No notes. Okay, so that is Aquinas' second way, the argument from efficient causality. In our next video, we're going to look at Thomas Aquinas' third way. I can't wait. Talk to you later. Okay, bye.